Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Harakah Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of great milestone that rule well, and shalom to the brothers doing the work, sharing truth. Um, yeah, I saw this, someone sent this to me today, and I found it amusing, because it basically kind of informs a mindset that, it's not, it's not that common. And as far as for like, how people function in the modern day, they're gonna, for them it's gonna be shocking. They're just gonna be like, what, why would you think that? I can't believe. Oh my God. All that, basically all that kind of a mindset and approach to it. But they're kind of unaware of how um fucking whacked out there, the current state of the world is. As far as for how the world is functioning right now, it's not really, it doesn't reflect how the world's been for most of most of its time on the face of the planet Earth, man. Well, on the face, there's how people have functioned, how societies have functioned, the role women have had within society, the role men have had, how laws have been enforced, what those laws are. All those things have been, completely different from the current era. And as such, that's why you kind of have these, in the modern day, you'll have, this broad on the screen, which is like 21. So she was born even after like the year 2000, which is just like even more divorced from like how shit ran, and then even awareness of the fact that you don't even know how shit used to be. Because like people talk about crime waves now that the Olympics on, everyone's talking about France, and over here in the UK as well, you've had a few incidents. You had like the little riot thing that was meant to happen in Leeds. You had the stabbing that happened like yesterday now, and then where it was Utes. So that's wild. And then you had a few other things just kind of happen over the course of the year, where it's mostly kind of tied up to politics, or anything that happens, it gets tied into politics anyway. So, people are like, oh, it's crime wave, blah, 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 talking about the stabbings. But it's like, you go back to the 80s, 90s, and there was all kind of madness. Like, on a scale where it wasn't, it's incomparable. Because you didn't have, CCTV, you didn't have people with smartphones. You didn't have, like, even as far as, like, how digitized, like, people using credit cards, people using, like, people using Oyster cards, people being as trackable as they are today, all those kinds of aspects, they were like way toned down or didn't even exist. So people could just do, a guy could fucking go out, kidnap and strangle like 6 women, and then hide them in, in the stick somewhere, and then they won't even know who the fuck did that shit. That's why it's like serial killers. You ain't really hearing about serial killers. You ain't really hearing about serial killers in the modern day. Not to the same scale that they existed before that. That it's kind of been toned down. That spirit switched up. But then with this, okay. So I just get to the. So it says it's a TikTok where this broad said, "Well, I walked onto the train and sat down, and I heard an old lady say, and they wonder why they get graped." And then, yeah, it's like she shows what she's wearing at the end. So it's like, yeah. So she's dressed up, and as far as in the modern day, they'll be like, "Well, it's not even, she's just got her belly out and her legs out, But obviously, it's like if you were to go to the ancient world, you're dealing with a whole different, like paradigm and set of orders, which is why it shows the current age we're in. Her putting that in there is it's funny, it's ironic, because like she is basically kind of leaving it all hanging out, which, that by some it will be seen as an invitation, but that's just kind of the reality of the dynamic. Because as far as for dealing with men and women, it's like you have certain men where they have that spirit on them, that primal spirit, where they will go up and grab a woman. Those things will kind of incentivize it. And then even then, it's like it's just kind of known, just with men, how if a girl's gonna go and put herself on display, then guys are gonna be interested, guys are gonna be intrigued, guys are gonna be drawn in. They're like, that male attention. Obviously, she wants the male attention. But the flip side of that is, yeah. if a guy in that primal kind of mindset, which that's just a thing that goes down. It's like what can you like certain men just have that spirit on them. Then those it's not in your favor for you to be dressed up as such, but it's something where if you say it in this modern day, now there's an issue, there's a problem. So I'll play it. And it's an older broad. I think you hear her voice anyway.
When you said, I wonder why they get raped, I hope you weren't talking about me.
You've heard this walk around with very little clothes on, looking beautiful under these men.
Yeah, I mean, and she's spitting facts. That's the thing is like you go like in the Western world, as far as for out here, it just that just runs, that just is how it is. These Esau's basically in power. He's established his order. He's basically frustrated. He's subverted the laws to where he's established his own laws and his own order, where those things can run, as far as women are able to go out and have. There's though obviously, like I said, there'll be people out there where all kinds of shit befalls them. It just is what it is. Like, what can you even fuck? That just is what it is. But then it's like you're doing yourself no favors, as far as. But then it's obviously the reason she's dressing up as such is because she wants the attention. She wants to be looked at a certain way. She wants to have a certain kind of appeal to to when men are interacting with her. But you highlight these things, and it's an issue. But that's the reality. And I was gonna say is with Esau's basically established his a system of law, order, and checks, where it can defend and essentially reinforce those behaviors. Because let a guy go and try and think place a hand on her leg or whatever, that guy's getting headlocked, he's getting choke slammed into the concrete, and then thrown in jail. But again, it's like you go back into the ancient world, you go back even 100, 200 years ago, those things would have been, stamped out on a societal level. There would have been like an expectation of, okay, you gotta cover yourself up to an extent. You can't just be, putting your body on display, because it's gonna cause men, to act up. And especially if it's someone's wife, then, if someone's wife is just out there, acting up, all kinds of confusion comes in. But that's the thing is that's this old, the old broad, she's aware of these dynamics, because she would have been younger, and then it would have been, and that's the thing is like going back then times, that jealousy is a rage of a man could have just come out, and then he might, if a woman steps out with someone, that guy might have just come through and tore that guy to shreds. you know, those all kinds of madness can downfall from it. All kinds of confusion can come out of it, because that's just the nature of how that's the nature of how these emotions work, man. This is what they look at you.
When they want to be with you.
I know, but I should be able to wear what I want.
Yeah, so they look at you, don't want to be with it. That's a real. That's a whole entire point of you know, her dressing up how she is, but then, you know, she's bringing that new age mindset. I should be able to wear what I want. Do as thou wilt spirit, which, you know, you fall into that. That's the thing, is the reality is, you know, do as thou wilt. But then what? It's the reality. There's consequences to it. But as far, like I said, Esau's established a world in where a lot of those consequences cease to exist. Like, or they're heavily, you know, delayed within his system, to where, you know, they might not even be able to recognize that they're getting a judgment tied to actions they took.
You know, you don't take care of yourselves and cover up a little bit. That's what worries me.
Well, I think what
Yeah, take care of yourself and cover up. That's the thing. Is as far as you know, for her to be dressing, you know, loose. It's basically just feeding the ego. You know, getting all the male attention. But then, you know, if you apply wisdom to it, then it should be a thing where she, you know, why would you wanna you know, gain all that male attention? It's not always going to be to your benefit, but, you know, that's the age we're in. And then that's the thing, is with that male attention does come the danger. But then she's just like, well, you know, men should just you know, chop the penises off and bind themselves, you know, when women walk past, you know, dressed, you know, with their body showing and whatnot on display. Which ain't happening for
the
sure.
worry is the man, if they feel like they should rape someone. It's nothing to do with me.
Not all men are like that. They don't think the same way as us.
I guess it's your generation, isn't it?
Oh no, man, and that's the reality. The reality is like, you know, you go check the news, you go and check arrests, you go and check whatever. In reality, it's like Sarah Everard. All the women came out and protested, blah blah blah. Sarah Everard. That's just some shit that can happen. Like that shit just happens in reality. Like, you have to just factor that into where, in reality, that's some shit that just can go down. Why would you want to, you know, increase the odds to yourself? But then that's where, you know, as far as for the mindset, it comes down to, you know, dealing with your family, like the father, you know, the parents basically instilling, like, look, you can go out, but then it's like you're inviting all these things on yourself, and then basically raising it to where it's like, look, you don't really want to have what that seems like a good idea to get all that male attention. But what's the reality?
I guess so.
Yeah, like she says, the worst thing I've heard anyone say in my 21 years. That's the thing, is you know, she can't square it away from that new age, you know, modern day mindset and lifestyle, to where it's just like, yeah, why shouldn't I just be able to do this? But then, you know, when there's consequence tied to it, which, you know, I didn't even say, it's like, as far as for now, this at present times, like I said, they got the cops out there. Even Sarah Everard, there was a cop that fucked her whole life up. But the system's kind of backing it. But yeah, it's basically blowing a perception wide open, and it says, yeah, what she's wearing, you can like, oh, it's just, you know, I could wear that to the office. It's funny as well, because yeah, and even that as well, because let come to the office where, you know, it's Esau's realm. Then they'll come in and say, look, no, that's not the what's it called, the work policy or whatever. And then she'll have to come and then, you know, wear a shirt, wear a blazer, a cardigan, whatever, have her skirt down a certain length, have tights on. She have to cover up to where, you know, she can't be on full display as per usual. And then, you know, but it's only when, you know, Esau's applying those dynamics, she'll engage with it. But then, you know, it's this broad trying to clue her up. You know, she ain't messing with it. Yeah, she ain't messing with it in the slightest. Is it 24? I think. It's 25. Sirach 25 and 13, it says, give me any plague but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman, and any affliction but the affliction from them that hate me, and any revenge but the revenge of enemies. So yeah, you know, that any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman. Because yeah, that's the thing is now we're in an age where all those snares, webs, and nets are basically being expanded, you know, to their fullness. You know, women are free out here to do whatever they wish and desire. And then and that's the thing is you know, men will get all tied up. And that's the thing is, imagine in the ancient world where you had a whole different dynamic. Because again, it says, like it says in the scriptures, it's a new thing, you know, on the earth. You know, a woman shall compass a man. A woman being a head, being in charge, that's brand new. Back in the ancient world, you know, women were in order to a much higher degree, even though they, you know, they ain't been perfectly in order. But then, you know, women were far more in order than that. And then you still had women able to do, you know, to decimate the lives of men, man, to completely destroy them. You know, to the point where it was like, you know, give me any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman. Because there is no head above the heads of a serpent, there is no wrath above the wrath of an enemy. I'd rather dwell with a lion and a dragon than to keep house with a wicked woman. Yeah, I'd rather draw with a lion and a dragon, man. Just be like, yo, nah, I ain't even, like, just get completely torn and decimated to shreds by them rather than deal with them women. And that's the thing, because, and what does it say? There was, verse 21. Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure. Yeah, that beauty can get a man bound up. And that's the thing is you know, in this modern day, you know, a man could look and desire on her, and then other men, you know, they might get bound up in various ways, man. They might try chatting to her, might, you know, spit some game, and then, you know, it could go a certain way. That's the thing is like with these social media like videos, that shit can just get posted and that's your life done, man. People who calling up your workplace, it's over. So it's like you can get completely snared up within these women, and that's, you know, that's not anything that's new. These things are really like it's been known for the longest. But let me read this as well before I go to Okay. Ecclesiasticus 26:9. The whoredom of a woman may be known in her haughty looks and eyelids. If, and these things are now in a modern age, that comes as a default. We're amongst that adulterous generation, whereas it's complete, it's complete madness, complete confusion out here, to where it's like, if you're trying to find a woman, more likely it's nigh impossible to find a virgin out here. The levels of confusion are, what is it? You got surgeries you can get that's meant to put the hymen together, man. And then imagine, like, with in the ancient world, the token, that would have been a defense, against, if a woman's, been out playing the harlot, the token of her bleeding on the bed, and that being kept was, a defense against that, which, should be put to death for. But then, now that's something that can be emulated, where they can, can get surgery and get that sewn back together, to where you wouldn't even, like, you wouldn't, like, you can even make that confusion. But then that shows how, now in a time where all forms of order have been completely decimated, especially when it comes to, the relationship between a man and a woman. Like, that's just been completely confounded. But it says, what if thy daughter be shameless? Keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. And yeah, abuse herself through overmuch liberty. That's really what would be taking place. Her basically going out, playing a harlot. It's not something that she's not gaining through that. It's not to her benefit. It's self-destructive. But those are like, now in an age where it's all those self-destructive behaviors, that's the normal. You can go out, you can go to to a shop, you can buy all forms of drugs, cigarettes. You can overindulge in every vice under the sun, and that would just be promoted to you. To do so within society, because it's to their benefit. If it makes money, if there's a profit to be made, those things are basically brought to you easily. So I think, let me touch on this. So Isaiah 32:9, it says, what? Rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. It says, what? Rise up, ye women that are at ease. And like, now is a time women are one of the most legendary forms of ease that have ever existed. You can have women that can be out here, you can basically, because you can even destroy your cycle, to where you ain't even got to deal with your cycle. You can go out, play the harlot. You can live life, so-called as a man. Be up in the workplace and whatnot. Telling men what to do, having dominance over them. You can get money from men. You can do all kinds of. You can basically create a life where you're living real good, man. You're having a real good time, and then you don't really have to all the troubles that would have existed, prior. The troubles that would have existed prior. When you go back 100+ thousands of years back, those things aren't, don't even have to be dealt with. But then what? It says, rise up. It says, many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Yeah. All the the careless women, it's basically gonna be levels of danger and trouble that now seem alien. That's why it's like that broad was she was 21, so she would have been born in like 2002, 2003. Like, she might have even like 9/11, born after like 9/11. It's like that is like, as far as in the modern day, might be one of like the kind of points that people look to, like, yeah, that shit was legendary. Like the most recent kind of like huge, impactful societal event. But then like she weren't even born at the time. It's kind of wild. But then what? It's the troubles that they're going to be visited by are going to outdo and outstrip all of that. Because what does it say? They shall lament, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Yeah, for all the pleasant, abundant lifestyle they've got, at present. Those things are going to be lamentated for. Supremely lamentated for. Because why? Because it's all, essentially they don't even realize how good they've got it. And that's the real. They really don't realize how plush these present times are. Actually, no, I was going to get this as well. Because, I'll skip up to verse 2. Just because, it's basically the order it's going to go back to. Verse 2, it says, and a man shall be as a hiding place for the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And yeah, that man's going to be that hiding place from the wind. Because why? It's all this judgment. So I'll touch on thingy Isaiah 4 as well, at the end. I'll finish on that one, Lord willing. But it's basically a man's going to be needed to cover you against this destruction. That's the state it's going to go back to. Because that's the thing, is the reality that Granny understands is, if a man desires it, and the way she's dressing up, she's, inciting that desire in certain men, then if the spirit's on that man, then he can just go and be like, and grab her up and do whatever he desires. Because, physically men just have the dominance over women. That's something that can't be overcome, unless she's got like a gun, a taser, whatever. But then even then, you've seen, cops, female cops with guns, where it's like the guys in like cuffs, you can still overpower her and like take the weapon from her. Like it's fucking insane. But then like that's just the the level of a gap you're trying to circumvent. So it's going to be required. As the rivers of water from a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Yeah, it's going to be needed. A man's going to be needed as a covering, man. Because it's going to come down to like this. Isaiah 13:12, it says, and I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger. And yeah, man's going to be raised up. It's going to be what the Israelite man, and even amongst the Israelite men, the men of the elect. The men of the elect are going to be the ones raised up. You got all this red pill, all this, so-called, masculine men, going back to manliness or whatever. But then, they're those men are going to be as women. Said even the staunchest men are going to be as women. It's going to be what? You're going to need the spirit, man. It's going to be a spiritual matter, as far as for you to maintain yourself within, within that time. Because as it says, in a day of his fierce anger, and it shall be as the chase roe, and as the sheep that no man taketh up, they shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one to his own land. Yeah, man are just going to be fleeing, departing. Because why? It's going to be that wild. It's going to be that on top. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravaged. So yeah, there's going to be an immense amount of death and destruction. Families are going to be, decimated. It's going to be like the Purge, where they just run through and be like, okay, we're just going to kill up everyone. And we'll say the wives ravish. So the women are going to be taken hold of, man, against their will. And that's just the reality. You go to those I was told, I ain't co-signed it, but apparently there was, an uproar about these small hat soldiers. The IDF were meant to be, grabbing up and, laying hold on the Palestinian prisoners as meant to be going down, and that's nothing new. You go back to World War II, they'll talk about the Korean comfort women. There's various forms of throughout history of where women will be, war happens, like the Vikings will come through, murder the men, and then lay hold on the women, and that's nothing new. And then what we're coming into, as I read the next verse, says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them." The Medes, them Russians, the modern day Medes are the Russians. And it says, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight it. So you ain't gonna be able to, to pay them off. There ain't gonna be any means to, to divert them. They're basically gonna be what? on about business, man. And there was even within what do you call it? What was it called? The fuck was that place in Ukraine? In Ukraine, there was stories coming out about women being laid hold on against their will, which that's that go to any war place, that shit's going down, man. It shouldn't even be a surprise. For men, it's like a survival instinct kind of thing, where it's wired in to where it's like you in that life or death situation. Then afterwards, that it's basically something that just it just takes place. And as such, that's the thing. It's like, that's why it's like, even in the West, you gotta do your best, because time and chance happen to all men. But then it's as far as it's gonna be wild, it's gonna be on top, because it's basically that time of trouble that was never been seen before. So all these current paradigms and dynamics are gonna go out the window. Because what does it say? Isaiah 4:1. "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach." Yeah, it's basically going to be on the level of all this now. You have all these dating shows. You have like that balloon popping bullshit. You have these dating apps, online dating shows, all this shit, the button, etc. All these things are basically put up where basically men being treated as what's of no value, of little renown, of little regard. But then the reality is going to come together to where it's going to be made clear that those men is really going to be, like I said, those Israelite men, and really those elect Israelite men that are going to be those shields, be those coverings, where women are going to be like, just let me be called by my name, by that name. Because why? There's going to be all kinds of hell going down. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Shah, Shem Kak Dash Shalom.